Tom, obviously this car has a lot of history by the drivers listed on the side of the car. I mean, what is the history of this vehicle, and actually, what is this? What kind of sprint car is this?
Yeah, well, this is a Pankratz-built sprint car built by Bob Pankratz in Los Angeles at the time, and it was built in 1951 for a guy named Truman Michaelbus from up in the state of Washington.
Okay.
And he raced it up there quite a while, and because, as the story goes, the written story goes, because of his religious beliefs, he had to get rid of the race car.
Okay.
And eventually sold it to a guy named Bill Cheeseman.
Okay.
And became known as the infamous Cheeseman-Offie. The reason is that it's got classic lines. I mean, there's been discussions amongst old-time racers that this is probably one of the prettiest sprint cars ever built. That's their saying of it, and Bob Pankratz had a way of doing that with cars.
Making it look proper.
Well, not only proper, but I mean, he was an absolute fanatic with reference to finish. I mean, this is a all-aluminum car, painted black, and I'd be willing to gamble that there's not 1 ounce of Bondo or anything underneath it. He was an absolute artist with that stuff, and it was driven by the who's who in racing.
Okay.
Starting off with a guy named Bob Gregg, who was a good race car driver up in the Northwest. The likes of Jack McGrath, Jimmy Daywalt, Chuck Stevenson, Henry Banks, kind of an unknown guy named A.J. Foyt.
At the time.
Well, he was.
Was A.J. angry then?
He was probably pretty good at the time. Eddie Sachs won the Midwest Sprint Car Championship in this car in 1958. You know, it just goes on. Don Branson, I might have mentioned already Jack McGrath. If I did, I apologize. But and it raced all the way through, built in '51, and raced all the way through the 1970s.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, it's quite a car.
So it's seen a lot of miles out on the dirt, and obviously a lot of well-known people have driven this vehicle.
Exactly. Yeah, it's quite a piece. I'm thrilled to have it. One of a kind. And Bob Pankratz is special to me because he built my dad's Champ car that ran in Indianapolis in 1954 and 55, and I was around him quite a bit during that period. You know, anytime I was not in school, I was down there trying to get in somebody's way at the shop building that car. So, and it's very much similar to the sprint car that he didn't build for my dad, but he kind of rebuilt a car, had no headrest on it, flat tail, and this looks very much like my dad's old car, other than it was a rail car. This is a tube frame car. But a really special piece, and all you have to do is mention the Cheeseman-Offie sprint car, and people know what you're talking about.
Wow, another car with tons of history, and the driver lineup on this vehicle over the course of its span for so many years of amazing, amazing.
Yeah, the who's who of car drivers back in that day drove this car.
Wow. Again, another fine example of the Tom Malloy collection here.